of your relationships fall into one of the 4 levels. Picture a bell curve in your mind. In every industry, yours, mine, etc., there is some distribution of performance of the individuals within that industry, from low to high. Quite frankly, most of us are in the average. In fact, that's how the average is calculated. That's what I like to call the pack. Whether we're a little above the average, a little below the average, we're essentially in the pack. That's the vendor zone. There's nothing particularly wrong with that relationship, just nothing particularly right. That's what we like to call a transactional relationship. You're fine. You've done everything you're supposed to do. You delivered a fine product or service. At the same time, your client has done everything they were supposed to do. They delivered a fine check. You've had a perfectly fine transaction. Nothing more, nothing less. But at the end of the day, your client doesn't owe you any loyalty, any advantage. You've had a perfectly fine transactional relationship. Transactional vendors are like Lego bricks. They're interchangeable parts. Not that you've done anything wrong, but again, you haven't done anything to differentiate yourself from the pack. Some of our relationships, we do begin to break out of the pack a little bit. When you start to be seen as noticeably better than the competition, you move into this yellow zone, the predisposed. You become their favorite. Oftentimes, however, this is a relationship running more on momentum. You're an approved vendor. You're already in our systems. We know how to work together. It's just easier to keep doing business with you. It's not a relationship built on any sort of strategic partnership. Rather, it's one based on avoiding switching costs. Your buyer is predisposed to continuing the relationship because it would be a bit of a hassle to move. Get far enough above the average, and you move into that trusted advisor zone. You're fantastic. If you were to go away, your buyer's life would get worse. Of course, if there's a couple levels above the average, there's a level below the average that we like to call an antagonistic relationship. This is where your buyer is actively trying to replace you and avoid extending the relationship. So these 4 levels, antagonistic, transactional, predisposed, and trusted advisor, help us understand how our buyers perceive us today, and at the end of the day, drive their decision-making on how to work with us in the future. Trusted advisors say things like, "Keep up the fabulous service. Yours speaks volumes over others in the industry. Absolutely love the relationship your people are building. I know it looks bad to put all 10s on a survey, but I wish every company acted the way you do." You can feel the emotion. You can sense that they are tied together, that this is an important relationship in the mind of the buyer. What does that look like? Well, they seek out your advice. They give you the benefit of the doubt when something goes wrong. They share information to help you win. They refer others to you. But that's not even the best part. Consider your buyer's value chain. When they have a problem or an opportunity, what do? Well, they start by identifying just what is the problem, what is the opportunity. They figure out what's it worth to solve. Do they need help? Who can help them? What are the various options for solving the problem or seizing the opportunity? They scope the effort. Do they have to put out an RFP? Eventually, they select a provider to help them. They implement the solution. And then finally, they measure whether or not they achieve the success. Each of these steps take effort. When your buyer considers you a transactional vendor, you're in that red zone. You're invited to play in those final couple steps where they're selecting a vendor and they're implementing a solution. Yet there's a lot of value to be added and captured as you move up the chain. Trusted advisors get to play way up the chain. They help identify the problems. They present opportunities to their client. They help them articulate what's it worth to solve. And by the time it gets through the process, they've added so much value, rarely does it go to RFP, and they're the natural provider to help implement the solution and demonstrate the value. Earning the right to be a trusted advisor, moving up the value chain, creates a lot of extra value for you and your company. First thing that should happen is the client sticks around. Whatever they started buying, they should keep buying from you year after year. In fact, in our research, we see a 4-fold increase in client retention, moving from a transactional relationship to one of a trusted advisor. Not only do they keep buying the same core offering, they begin to be open to buying additional services from you. You're able to cross-sell. We see a 3.5 times increase in cross-selling, moving from that transactional to trusted advisor. Not only that, they appreciate the value you've delivered and are less price sensitive. They're willing to pay for the value. We see a 7% price premium across different industries. You have greater influence, meaning they listen to your ideas and are willing to hear you out. And finally, they become your most vocal advocates, that referral value. But there's one last thing. They're easier to work with. As a salesperson, account team members, your trusted advisor relationships are those that are so easy to work with. They take your call. They're willing to give the time. They share information. And so we see 6% lower cost to serve as the relationship strengthens. At the end of the day, earning the right to be a trusted advisor, working up the value chain, results in increasing revenues, decreasing costs, which equals dramatic profitable growth. And that's what we're looking for. As we work forward in this course, we're going to talk about those specific practices that you need to change to move up the value chain. So in summary, all relationships fall into one of 4 levels: antagonistic, transactional, predisposed, or trusted advisor. Trust is personal and unique to each individual buyer you're going to work with. And there are significant business benefits to accrue to trusted advisor relationships. Thanks for watching.